Hi friends, Jennifer Saake here, Infertility Mom or StrokieGal. I'm a six-time stroke survivor after a chiropractic accident caused catastrophic strokes 10.5 years ago. I was on complete life support, could not sit up, um, couldn't walk, couldn't, pretty much had to relearn everything from the floor, and I am doing really well. I am beyond anything my doctors ever imagined or predicted. But I still find some things that to me are just interesting I didn't know about myself. Like, my daughter got me this beautiful manicure um, 3.5 weeks ago now, which is why it's grown out some. But as you can see, this hand has not fared nearly as well. I've chipped off there, and every nail is either gone or severely chipped off. Where this one, the only thing you can tell about its age is that the nails have grown out some. Um, and that's because, while I do use my left hand, I don't use it nearly as much, so predominantly I have to use my right hand does not quite double duty, but probably like 1 3/4 duty because even the things I can do with this hand, I have some small motor skill if I really focus on it. Um, Mostly large motor skills, and I just don't have strength in this hand. So my husband rebought me, well, not rebought me, but just had my wedding ring resized because it didn't fit with all the swelling that I've had in this hand. So I'm thrilled to have my wedding ring back. About to celebrate our 30th anniversary. So I've been without it for quite some time. um, just as my hand has tried to learn new skills, it the more it can do, and the more meat got back on this bone, the more the swelling made it not wearable anymore. So for past several months, I've been without my wedding ring, and he got it resized for me, and I'm thrilled. But I just found it really interesting how non-marred up this left hand nails got, and while the right hand got absolutely chewed up and decimated. So, enough rambling about that little strokey quirk. My shirt today says my identity is found in Christ, not feelings. And I firmly believe that. I'm going to jump into my attempt at memorizing First Peter chapter 4. Um, I memorized parts of it in NIV, ESV, King James, probably a smattering of other things. What I'm attempting for the most part to quote out of is Legacy Standard Bible. So if you would like to follow along and double check me and leave me in the comments, letting me know how many times I goofed up, you can follow along at read.lsbible.org. Um, so let's jump in. First Peter chapter 4. Therefore, since Christ has suffered in the flesh, arm yourselves, and that's referencing Ephesians 6:13. Arm yourselves also in the same way, because he who has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. See Romans 6, and possibly verses 6 through 7 specifically, but all of chapter 6 will talk about that concept of he who has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin, so as to no longer live the rest of the time in the flesh as no so as to no longer live the rest of the time in the flesh for the lust of men, but for the will of God. For the time already past is sufficient for you to have worked out the desire of the Gentiles, uh, having pursued a course of sensuality, lust, drunkenness, carousing, drinking parties, and abominable, I can't say that word, abominable idolatries. For, has something to do with time. Somehow, they are surprised, I can't remember the beginning. They are surprised, in all this, they are surprised that you do not run with them into the same excesses of dissipation, maligning you. But they will give account to him who is ready to judge the living and the dead. For verse 6. For this reason the gospel has been proclaimed even to those who are now dead, so that, though they were judged in the flesh as men, they live in the spirit, according to the will of God. 7. The end of all things is at hand. Therefore be of sound thinking and sober spirit for the purpose of prayer. 8. Above all, keep fervent in your love for one another, because, see Proverbs, it's got a 12 in it. I don't know if it's Proverbs 8:12. I will have to go back and brush up on that cross reference, but it is referring to a proverb that says, because love covers a multitude of sins. It's not a direct quote, but it's an inference to that proverb. 9. Be hospitable to one another without grumbling. One I have to work on. Be hospitable to one another without grumbling. 10. As each one has received a gift, employ it in serving one another as manifold stewards of the grace. No, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. So as each one has received a gift, employ it in serving one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Verse 11. Whoever speaks as one speaking the oracles of God. Whoever serves as one serving by the strength which God supplies, so that in all things God may be glorified Christ may be glorified. So that in all things God may be glorified through Jesus Christ, to whom belongs the glory and might forever and ever. Amen. 12. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial that comes upon you. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial that comes upon you. It ends with, as though some strange. Oh, okay. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial among you, which comes upon you for your testing, as though some strange thing were happening to you, or just were happening to you, I believe. As though some strange thing were happening to you. 13. But to the degree you are sharing the sufferings of Christ, keep on rejoicing, so that also at the revelation of his glory, no, at the revelation of his glory, you may rejoice. At the revelation of his glory, you may rejoice with exultation. 14. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and of God rest on you. 15. 1 Peter 4:15. Make sure that Make sure that none of you suffers as a murderer, or thief, or evildoer, or a troublesome meddler. 1 Peter 4:16. But anyone, everyone, some person word, but everyone who suffers as a Christian is not to be put to shame, but is to glorify God in this name. 17. For it is time for judgment to begin with the house of God. And if it begins with us first, what will be the outcome? And if it begins with us first, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? 18 is referencing, so see Proverbs. See Proverbs 11:31. See Proverbs. Okay, 1 Peter 4:18. See Proverbs 11:31. And if it is with difficulty that the righteous is saved, what will be the outcome for the godless man and the sinner? 19. Therefore, and I'm sticking a fork in it from there, my there fork in my mind. Therefore, also, okay, I think it's therefore also whoever suffers according to the will of God must entrust his soul to a faithful Creator in doing good. 1 Peter chapter 4. Thanks for coming along with me, and you have a great day. God bless.